Morning. Good morning. Good morning to the department and our support team and all invited guests. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you into the meeting and request all of us to observe a moment of silence for meditation or prayer. Thank you very much. Can we observe a moment of, can we note the apologies?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members and the guests. Chairperson, I only received an apology from the Office of the Minister. The Minister is unable to join this meeting today due to other meetings that are scheduled at the same time. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The item 4, it's, can we then, sorry, honorable members, we know Friday it's another day. Can I get the mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Chair,
I move the adoption of the agenda, Chair.
Before the mover, Honorable Zeki.
Yeah, so sorry, Comrade Nancy. I wanted to move as well, but you know, looking at the documents, Chair, I'm not sure where we are going to cover issues raised during the public hearings, because the document that is in front of us only talks about the responses from the department.
Honorable Zeki, I think what we have been doing was that I remember in one meeting we through Sabelo we've tabled the issues that were raised because we have separated the issues from the main issues of the bill, from starting with the Eastern Cape until Gauteng. So they were Gauteng and I think Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Sabelo will assist and what we are left with those issues, it's on the on Northwest, I think, and Western Cape and Northern Cape. Those are the issues.
Maybe my proposal
were not tabled because we then said in the last meeting, if you remember, Honorable Zeki, when we adopted the minutes of the provinces, we said the officials must isolate those issues and then develop a plan of action which will be tabled in the meeting around those issues. And those issues, some of the issues which entail names and contact of the people where they've raised specific matters, those issues should be submitted to the department. Maybe we can put it there just to finalize it, coin it properly, Honorable Zeki.
yes, Chair,
after the deliberations.
On the deliberation, thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I second Comrade Nancy with that understanding.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Koliswa, sorry.
Yes, Chairperson. I've also received an apology now from Dr. Kumalo.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to record that. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Let me allow then I go to item number 4. allow the department, I'm not sure who's the leader, who's leading the team, the delegation, whether acting DG is part of the meeting.
The acting DG is here, Chairperson.
Okay, we'll then introduce her team. Acting DG.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, colleagues, good morning. Chairperson, I'm unable to open my video. I think we've got a technical issue this side. It's not reflecting. I'm accompanied by can I proceed, Chair? I'm accompanied by the head of corporate services, DDG Litulunyane, with our acting head of legal services, Mr. Paul Masimola, who will take us through the presentation. They are leading the team of legal services. And also we've got IGR represented by Ms. Matonsi, DDG, acting DDG Atkinson, and also the NHBRC team that is led by Natasha. Without going too much into details, Honorable Chairperson, through you, let me allow the acting head of legal services, Mr. Paul Masimola, to take the committee through the presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Masemola.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. Let me go to the screen. Thanks. The presentation will include the hearing conducted by the Parliament in all the 9 provinces and comments and or other questions that would have been put regarding the bill, but also include the service delivery issues that were raised by members of the public when we were conducting the public hearings. Parliament, as a background, Parliament has published the Housing Consumer Protection Bill in 2021 for the purposes of public consultation. Parliament subsequently embarked on the process of conducting public hearings in the provinces in 2022. This presentation will deal with critical inputs made on the bill and issues of common concern raised by members of the community in the provinces visited by the Parliament in the 2nd and 3rd quarters of 2022. During the consultation, the public and the representative committees engaged on the bill. The following issues emerged during the public hearings. Comment on the local builders, home builders are not contracted in local projects because they are not registered with the NHBRC. The response that was provided was that the registration as a home builder is a mandatory when constructing homes. It is also a requirement before a project can be awarded to a home builder. Local builders are advised and encouraged to seek assistance from the NHBRC regarding the registration, since it appears that there would have been some challenges with some home builders, especially the small contractors who might not be aware as to how to register with the NHBRC. The NHBRC to improve on training and capacitation of inspectors. The bill thus covers the qualifications and duties of an inspector. It covers an offering. It also tries to deal with issues of corruption by indicating that the inspectors should not accept any gratification or any reward or incentive which will give them to do things that they were not in ordinarily to do. Section 70 to 72 empowers council to actually professionalize the inspector's functions. The comment was also on the request that the bill should cover a dwelling unit that does not have its own bathroom and the kitchen. It is noted, that comment is noted, however, that the bill and its application is actually aligned to town planning schemes of the dwelling units, but it's something that I'm sure we'll consider it. There was a seek of clarity on appointment of subcontractors that are not registered with the NHBRC. In terms of the bill, the registration is required from both the main contractors and subcontractors. And such misconduct, if is not registered, then it becomes more of a misconduct and has to be reported. All home builders must be registered, whether they are appointed as a main or subcontractors. Issues raised on economic transformation of building industry. This is the issue that actually was raised in all hearings, public hearings. The bill provides for that, and it also further that the minister has announced that there will be 40% of the projects in the building industry that must be set aside to the designated groupings. There was also a clarity seeking on commencement period of the warranty cover. The commencement of the warranty cover from the date of commencement of the construction in terms of the bill, as opposed to the date of occupation in the current act. So this one starts from when the or rather, sorry. The other comment was a complaint that complaint that homes are not inspected, inspectors are not visible, or inspectors are proving poorly constructed structures. The bill provides for personal liability against inspectors who would not have done their work, were expected to go and do the inspection and they give wrong reports. They will then have to carry the personal liability on the defects. There was a comment on the warranty cover for roof leakage to be the same years as structural covers. The request was noted. However, we should also note that in the current act, the warranty cover is for 12 months, but in this bill, it has been extended to 24 months. There's a comment on consumers need education and the visibility of the NHBRC. The NHBRC is expected to increase its visibility and open additional branches in remote provinces like Northern Cape. There was also a request that the competent board must be appointed to the NHBRC, which response was that the competent person with qualification, skills, and knowledge of the home building sector should be appointed. Section 6 of the bill addresses the issues of persons who should serve in the board. There were complaints that the penalties are too high and upcoming home builders will not be able to afford same. The department has noted that the builders are concerned about the maximum fine and has indicated that the amount is only a maximum fine. Public requested that the NHBRC annual fee be allowed to cover for 3 years. The response is that the department has noted the issue and will consider the same. There was also a request that, or rather indication that whether there is an exclusion of rural communities. The current act and the bill apply to any house in the Republic. The home builder must be registered and compliant, be registered with NHBRC, and also that the house must be enrolled. Where there is non-compliance, a stop build directive is issued. Once resolved, the builder will be allowed to resume the work. The bill provides for the enrollment of additions, alterations, renovations, and repairs of homes. The enrollment of additions, alterations, renovations, and repairs are issues that will be addressed by the minister in the regulations and enabling section 2, subsection 3 of the bill. There was a request that training and empowerment initiatives to include the youth and the women. The bill in section 14(1)(g) seeks to ensure that the NHBRC provides training programs to home builders. Is also intended to ensure that council reaches out to consumers by way of consumer education programs. The comment is that the bill excludes structures in informal settlements and excludes the most vulnerable part of the population from protection under the bill. As we know that the warranty fund cannot assume risk of homes built in informal settlement until the settlement are actually formalized, and we know that the department is actually having a program of formalizing informal settlements. There was a need for a building industry to be self-regulated, which was the issues that were raised on Wednesday sitting, where we had a presentation by Master Building Association and Development Action Group, where they requested that they are requesting that the industry must be self-regulated. The bill seeks to maximize protection of the interest of the housing consumers through the warranty cover. This is an issue of public interest and therefore should be legislated by government to ensure that it covers everyone involved. There was also a comment on the registration and enrollment of the home and addition, renovation, and repairs to a home that will create financial burden for the home builders and will discourage improvement of homes. The response is that NHBRC advised that the registration of the home builder is once off and the annual fee is for the renewal of the registration. So the registration of home builders and enrollment of homes are obligations set out in the current act and the bill. So it means that is nothing new there. It has been there since it is even in the current format. The latter ensures mandatory protection of housing consumers through regulations of home building industry and warranty cover for all housing consumers. The owner builder exemption should not be removed as currently stands in the current act. However, the bill affords protection to all housing consumers, including owner builders. Public interest requests that an owner builder be included in the dispensation to ensure compliance for technical requirements and for warranty cover. There was also a comment on the training not sufficient for someone to become a skilled builder. The submission was actually welcomed, and its suggestions are also welcomed in that the training can only be improved over time with the submissions. There was also a concern with the delays or non-payment to subcontractors by main contractors. The government must mandate the main contractors in the SLAs to provide the report of payments to subcontractors on regular intervals. This is an intervention mechanism that can prevent the exploitation of emerging contractors or subcontractors. The minister has issued a directive to all provinces to ensure compliance with the provisions of the PFMA on payment period of compliance. Oversight is also exercised at the MINMEC level. There was also a comment regarding the fairness, transparency, and compliance with issues of tenders. Government policy provides clarity on the matter. Various initiatives are in place to address non-compliance, including SIU proclamations. The minister has issued requests for audits where matters have been brought to the attention of the department. An example include the issues in the PPRA. There's also issues on regarding that there are no consultations with communities before construction of RDP or rather BMGs are built, or project starts without consulting the local communities. The code is clear on appointment of steering committees as well as conclusion of social compacts. The current grant framework also stipulates conclusion, compliance, social facilitation is also funded to improve community consultations. A fraud conduct of sales of building materials by subcontractors are also identified by communities. And the advice is that it is a crime and communities were requested to report this type of crimes to the SAPS. The contract should also provide for contractors and developers to be held accountable for such losses. There was also a issue around whether are mortgage properties covered in terms of the bill, which section 83 of the bill requires banks before approving mortgage bond applications to determine whether a home is enrolled with the NHBRC. This is applicable to newly built homes as well as alterations and additions. There was also a comment on the issues of engineering liabilities, and section 43 of the bill gives council the authority to hold professionals liable for the rectification and cost thereof in respect of any claim that can be attributed to any action or omission by the certification body, competent person. There was also a question on whether the bill does covers the conversion of commercial to residential properties, which section 2, subsection 4 of the bill applies to any addition, alteration, renovation, or repairs of which the purpose is to convert a commercial building or part of the commercial building to a home. Subsidy houses differ in sizes from one province to the other. Communities want the size of the houses to be standard. Houses lack basic services. Old houses built with asbestos material. BMGs, houses used as rental houses by the owners. These are some of the issues that were raised by community members. And the code determines them. The answer is that the code determines minimum norms and standards, and provinces and implementing agents must meet the standard. No house can be delivered without required services, and ministerial directive has been issued on eradication of asbestos. Recipients are required to advise government if they wish to sell a house. Provinces and municipalities must then advise the beneficiary. Renting out the house is also not prohibited. There's also a concern on the poor quality of homes that are being built, are being constructed. Houses must be built in terms of the national standard prescribed by minister. And then we indicate that any non-compliance should be reported and the NHBRC, province and municipalities conduct so that they can conduct an inspection. Subsidy program must take into consideration persons living with disabilities, where it was also indicated that some of the toilets are very small and they can't cover people with persons with disabilities, or houses that are not built with ramps that allows the people who are wheelchair bound to be able to access the houses. And the answer would have been that the departmental programs allow the beneficiaries to indicate that they are living with disabilities when they are making an application, so that the contractor will be able to submit an application for additional funding in order to meet the special needs of the beneficiary. There's a concern raised regarding the people not qualifying for subsidized homes. There's a deficiency in improving communications and marketing of all housing programs has been identified. The budgets are provided for marketing and communication so that we can improve on outreach programs where people can be made aware of all the programs that the department offers, like flips or help me buy home. There's a comment on the manipulation of allocation process after applicants passes away and beneficiary dependents are then left without houses. The minister will in due course undertake a process to approve a national allocation policy with relevant directives. In addition, digitalization of the process of approval and allocation intended to eradicate fraud and corruption in the process. There's also concern with the poor visibility of the National Department of Housing, where the housing is then responded by that says that housing is a concurrent function and relevant spheres have budget provided for communication and marketing. And the department also undertakes initiatives which includes consumer education, training, and capacity building. Communities are not happy with toilets built outside their houses and far from their houses. The minimum norms and standards as well as regulations determine positioning and provision of service which must be followed. There's a long waiting times based on waiting list, or rather there's a backlog on the housing list. The minister announced the digitalization of beneficiary lists, and this will ensure openness, fairness, and also minimize fraud. There's also an issue of accessibility of NHBRC. The entity has been requested to address improving their profiles as well as service offering to the public. The NHBRC is already embarked on a digital process to service home builders through online services for registration and renewal of registrations. Small business contractors request that to be assisted or empowered on capacity building and access to funding. A number of government-wide programs are available to assist SMMEs. Within the sector, the provinces and entities have a number of programs for training as well as funding to improve sustainability of contractors and developers. And they would have been encouraged to liaise directly with the department and even the NHBRC so that they can be helped further on the issues. There's also an issue around the approved for allocations and houses allocated to a different people. There are houses that would have been approved for some beneficiary, and at the later stage when they go there, they find that someone else would have been allocated the house. The approval of the national allocation policy as well as digitalization of the process of approval will assist with fraud, corruption, and manipulation of the allocation process. There's a need for, community indicated that there's a need for prevention of illegal houses occupation or house invasions. The introduction of rapid land release program, as well as directives on approval of beneficiaries prior to construction of homes with digitalization process would help in this regard. There's a slow process on the rectification program. There are pre-1994 houses with roof leakages and structural challenges that are not being rectified. The provinces have to balance the prioritization based on current and existing backlogs. Ministerial approval is required for rectification based on ensuring all efforts are exhausted to hold developers and contractors liable for poor workmanship. There must be an intervention to ensure that unfinished projects are completed. A ministerial directive has been issued that all project backlogs are addressed within a period of 3 years, which will help in that unfinished projects. There's an issue also, or rather challenge of family disputes on ownership of houses. A national framework to resolve the disputes has been issued. The matter related to arena to address the disputes is receiving attention. It was requested that the subsidized houses be built with solar geysers. The current subsidy quantum does not include cost of energy provision, but the Department of Mineral and Energy provides a grant and oversees policy on energy provision. Program for solar geysers was initiated and the department has requested an update on it, which will be given in due course. The resolution of title deeds backlog also was an issue that was raised on almost all the provinces. The department has revised the action plan for the title deed restoration program with specific intervention to address the delays in the registration and issuing of title deeds in subsidized housing projects. The interventions include ensuring the provinces and municipalities issue title deeds already registered, resolving delays in the planning approvals and township establishment within municipalities. Mechanisms to allow for ownership disputes to be resolved to then allow for a title deed to be registered. Assistance for the from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development to address the reporting of the deceased estates. And the declaration of a ministerial project to expedite the issuing of title deeds in Mabopane, Winterfeld, and Ga-Rankuwa, which is called Mawika, which is an issue that was also raised in other regions or other provinces, including Free State and Northern Cape, to be addressed. The model that is being used for Mawika will also help to address the issues of that arise at Mawika. I just see that the slide that I'm having, there's some omission. May I just get Chair, just a minute. No, there's a mistake. Okay. Is it visible? It's not. No? Yes. Okay. Chairperson. Chairperson.
I'm listening, Mr. Masemola.
Oh, I thought it's yes. I'm on the. Is it still visible?
No, we'll see you.
Let me try to. But I'm on the slide of recommendations, which the department will establish the task team that will be headed by the Intergovernmental and Stakeholder Relations Unit, which will engage relevant municipalities and provinces to account to issues in their areas and addresses concern of the communities. An inspection of the project in the Worcester that comprised dignity of households will be carried out, and a report will be provided to the portfolio committee. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masemola. Just checking whether anybody from NHPRC. Natasha, you want to add anything?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and members of the committee. Chair, we have given our inputs to the department. So there's nothing further to add from our side. Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, am I audible?
Yes, you are. DG, anything? Acting DG. Closing of the presentation.
Chairperson, these were the responses that were requested to be presented at the portfolio committee. I do not have any additional information, Chairperson. Thank you.
Members to interact with the response. I see the hands of Honorable Butas. Can I note hands, members? Honorable Tseki.
Chair, just the first question would be, how did the department get this, Chair? Pardon my ignorance. These comments and responses, how did they get them? Through us or through the rep who attended to the public hearings? Pardon me.
Okay.
Or should I ask all questions? Okay.
Ask the
I thought maybe to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask questions.
Yeah, but the first one is that one of saying, how did they access these comments? Thank you, Chair. I think the issues that are raised by the department, and I think we will process them in the manner in which they have raised them. But I just want to deal with certain specific areas. If a person wants or employs a builder, whose responsibility to make sure that that builder is registered? I think I missed that question, because I think Comrade Paul is saying all builders must be registered, which is the law says that. But who's the responsibility? It's like registering your children to a school that is not registered with the department, whereas the principal said it's registered, something like that. On the compliance, Chair, of the payments, maybe one should say, Comrade Paul, these are very specific questions from specific people. If a contractor complains about late payments, I think there is a contact number, there is an address, there is a ward, there's a province, which probably one would have thought that your responses may not only talk about compliance of payment, but can also talk about following them exactly. I heard in your ending, you were saying that the department is going to establish a team, but there are those specific areas, like the issue of the size of the house. Our understanding is that all houses are 40 square meters, except of those military veterans, which I think are 50 or 54. So if a person asks about the size of the house, it tends to be a very specific area to focus on, even without that team to be established. That was my thinking, but maybe I will get guidance. Did I hear you correctly saying that there's no prohibition for renting a house in RDP? I'm not sure whether I heard you correctly. Okay, the other issue is the issue of disability houses. It's also specific questions. And then on the family dispute, you are saying that family house dispute, there's a policy. Probably, Chair, if that policy can be shared. I'm not sure whether I've seen it, of dispute, because we do have this problem, serious problem on family disputes. Maybe let's welcome the establishment of that team of the department for it to work on those issues. But I think in our next agenda, we'll also give further items that are raised in the public to be sent to the department. The Worcester saga, Chair, when we were in Worcester, the department there in the Western Cape, they said they are going to send a report to the chairperson by end of November. So I thought it was important for us to indicate to the department now that we'll be expecting a report by end of November in terms of those issues that were raised there. Last point, Chair, NHBRC. In Mafikeng, I must say you were very proactive, NHBRC, which was welcome. In Mahikeng, there's a person who stood up and said, my house was built in 2018 and my house was off the ground. It fell off, I think something like 2019 or 2020, I can't remember exactly. And there was a promise for NHBRC to take that matter. They initiated it, which I'm saying they were proactive. But unfortunately, up to yesterday, that matter was not addressed. And we were in Mafikeng last month. But I made a follow-up with Comrade Zakes from NHBRC, who made follow-up with the relevant person, I think is Celo in Mafikeng, and they contacted the beneficiary. But I'm just worried about, they initiated it, but we had to follow it up to yesterday when I spoke to Zakes, and Zakes immediately responded. So your proactiveness can also disappoint a beneficiary at some point. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Malematsa.
Thank you, Chairperson. The very same question asked by Comrade Zeki, how they got this and how they respond without engaging with us is stand. Now, Comrade Paul or Mr. Paul, you seem to have dealt with a number of issues, including the training of home builders. Now, you seem to have attempted to say this will be taken care in a form of NHBRC, acknowledging that they can avail themselves for that. Now, I don't think the workshops, this one-day kind of workshop, can make a person to be a qualified home builder. I think what needs to be emphasized is that a qualified home builder must be somebody who has got a certificate from Hamburg in a form of TVET, so that he can be able to produce a quality structure with understanding of the whole processes. The issue of funding of the emerging service in a form of contractors, funding alone without monitoring it is not enough. The mistake that we normally do is to be happy and try to be populist and give the funds to everybody without even checking their background. After a certain period of time, the whole thing collapsed and there's nothing, the money is gone. Now, the issue of the enrollment of the mortgage, if left alone with the banks without proper monitoring in a form of proof to the owner, I think we are putting that structure and the owner at risk, bearing in mind the fraud that is viral in the country. Now, the issue of the inspectors who are not there during the building process, it can be foundation till when they come, say for example, they come at a gable height, they want to inspect this and they detect a wrong thing, they recommend the demolition. I think was also raised, and it's also not fair. Now the question is, at what point would the NHBRC work in collaboration with the quality assurance from the department so that the very same structure is monitored, if possible, line by line, or in a form of a statement way that it is satisfactory. I'm saying this because in many cases, the very same houses that we are proud to be given to the poor, you'll find the house done, finished. Only when it begins to crack, we realize that there were no enough brick forces. Now, that alone, I'm saying the equipment there and the inspectors are not there on site, and they cause a problem where at the end of the day, the structure is no longer quality as intended to. The question of registering the service, I'm still saying if you go, you have a meeting, you register everybody, and you take them to the field without them being tried for quite a long time, it puts the entire process of building, or it compromises the entire process of building. But if we are to register them, let them be registered with a recommendation that they've done the work before. Chairperson, let me stop there, but that question, I really want to hear it before, which I think we are going to come with the issues that were raised by ordinary homeowners.
Chairperson? Hello, Chair.
Oh, it's like I was speaking alone.
I can hear you, Koliswa. I was saying that I don't see any other hands. Let me add my voice on the what to add on what other honorable members have raised on the issue of the enrollment of the house. Just to clarify it further, because it was raised on Wednesday by the what is other organization, who has to enroll the house, whether it's a home builder or the beneficiary himself. In terms of the private, in terms of the subsidy houses, it's very clear that the minister or the MMC responsible for human settlement has to enroll those houses. With the private houses, is it employing the qualified builder enough for it? Does it mean that the house itself is enrolled? The second issue is that your response in terms of the professionalization of inspectors. I want you to unpack that. What do you mean? Does it mean that inspectors that you have now, they are not professional, they are not qualified? What does that mean? The other issue that has been raised by the communities was that the collaboration of both inspectors of municipalities and provinces, how an NHPRC, how do they work together? And the other issue that they raised was that particularly on buying a private house, in one area they've raised the issue of conveyancers, that the people, they are made to pay a lot of money, and how does the bill help them? You have not respond on it. On your response to the poor quality of homes, which majority are government built houses, and you are saying that people must report to NHPRC. How does the people know, would know the issues if the inspectors of NHPRC, they are supposed to be the ones that provide quality assurance for the building of houses, particularly of the enrolled houses by the state? If we are saying people must report, is it enough answer? Because there was a call for making the inspectors reliable for some of the approved work that is not done properly, because in two provinces, people raised that inspectors, they are corrupt, and they need to be liable, and you have then said people must report. How do we strengthen the bill such that even inspectors become, as MECs and MMCs becomes liable, and those inspectors and engineers too become liable? I don't pick it up. And then on the poor visibility of national, you're saying it's housing is a concurrent function. Yes, it's a concurrent function, but the budget it's the budget that we pass. It's regulated by, actually, we are appropriating budget of national department, which you make commitment with provinces, and there is conditions. That's why there is a condition, and this issue is even raised by the Auditor General. And to say that how this issue is a concurrent function without giving it a context of you in your building of houses in the country, it's not for me. The answer it's not it's not answering the problem as people raise, because national this even if there is concurrent housing, it's a concurrent function, but you put conditions, which the conditions that you put into your budget supposed to address issues of poor qualities, issues of proper housing. So, and if you are just saying on the poor visibility of national, and then says, it means that you don't have, and you are not intended to have monitoring and evaluation as a department. If you are telling us that is a concurrent function, how do you fit in within the system of building houses to monitor the quality of building houses? On the training of contractors, you know, there was a 1995 to 2000, there was a proper training of contractors, which is the intention was to transform the industry itself. Now, that program is no longer feasible in provinces. It's even not been coordinated at national level. And if the training that NHBRC, as Honorable Malemaza is talking about, is the workshop, how to the one-day workshop without training proper contractors that would actually transform the industry, people with knowledge, with skills, taking from those that are from Hambach and develop them further to become a professional contractors. It's a problem. I think as we finalize the bill, the department has to ready itself to have a proper contractor development program as it was, and contractors that are in the system were trained by government. They were not just coming from their homes. There was a deliberate program to train contractors to change the system and transform the construction industry to have women in particular and youth participating in this environment. And there is the issue of contractor vis-a-vis the developer. I'm not sure whether the requirement is the same, if maybe one can be educated in the same, because in some provinces, they just have a company, a person just have a company and apply for houses, to build houses. It doesn't even know the industry itself, doesn't even know how to mix what is needed to build a house, is relying on somebody, the secondary information. How do we understand, how do we manage such things? Because particularly with houses that are built by government, the public, majority of people who came to public hearing, we had even to control them to say, no, those that have problem with houses, they should go and register. And as members are asking, where did you get the information? Because there were people who were directed to go and queue and register those issues outside them, speaking from the mic, because majority of people who came to the public hearing were about the poor quality of houses. The last thing is on me is that whether NHBRC has capacity itself, its capacity to, as we pass this legislation, we have to have understanding that whether NHBRC has the capacity to regulate and to monitor the implementation of this act, as you have to provide the quality assurance, because what we have seen on the ground is a problem. Can we then get answers if there is no hands?
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me propose that we allow NHBRC to respond first Then the department will come second. Thank you, Chair.
NHBRC.
Good morning, and thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In relation to some of the questions that has been posed, in terms of the bill, in terms of section 25 and 26, makes provision for the registration of home builders and developers. Now, one of the questions was, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the home builder is registered? Any person who undertakes the construction of a home must ensure that he or she is registered as a home builder with the NHBRC. It's therefore not the housing consumer's responsibility to register a home builder. It's the person that undertakes the construction that must ensure that he or she are registered with the NHBRC. In terms of the definition of what a home builder, the difference between a home builder and a developer, Chair, you'll find that there are home builders who undertake the construction themselves, and then there are developers who are the owners of the land, who appoint another home builder to undertake the construction. However, that developer must be registered, as in many instances, that developer is the person that sells the properties onto housing consumers. And therefore, Chair, in those circumstances, they are jointly and severally liable for the construction as well as any defects to the property. In terms of a register of home builders, Chair, in terms of section 23, any housing consumer that wishes to contract with a home builder can contact the NHBRC to obtain information about that particular home builder or developer and its status with the NHBRC. I have noted the issue, Chair, that was raised by Honorable, I think it was Male Macha, in relation to the issue of the beneficiary in Mahakeng. I will ensure that we engage with that particular beneficiary, and I will follow up with Mr. Mhlongo or Zakes, as Honorable Malamache has indicated, so that we resolve the matter as speedily as possible. Then there was an issue in relation to the inspectors of the NHBRC. Chairperson, the bill makes provision for, the issue of, and I've noted the issue of, the gratification and the corruption that has been mentioned by various stakeholders. Chair, we encourage the public to communicate such with us. There has also been the bill now in terms of section 70 makes provision, that there are consequences for such against those particular inspectors if it comes to the attention of the NHBRC. In relation to the training, or let me rather rephrase and say, the professionalization of the NHBRC inspectors, all of the appointed inspectors, Chair, have qualifications in the built environment. And my colleague will, engage further, Chair, on how we have further ensured, to what the NHBRC has done to ensure that professionalization of the inspector. I'll hand over to her, Chair, and then I'll come back to some of the other issues that was raised.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Nkadisha Rasibuta. Just to add on the question that was raised by the chairperson on the professionalization of inspectors, Chair, I can confirm that the NHPRC has previously entered into a memorandum of understanding and is currently continuing to have negotiations to enter into a new memorandum of understanding, Chair, with SACAM, that is the South African Council for Project and Construction Management Professions. As my colleague has already indicated, that our inspectors have the necessary qualifications in the built environment. This memorandum that we are negotiating into is meant to make sure that the NHPRC and SACAM collaborate on the development and recognition of building inspector professional, and to make sure that our inspectors are accredited or they receive accreditation of professional building inspector and educational programs and continued professional development, Chair. So the accreditation of our inspectors is continuous. I can confirm that currently we do have some inspectors who have undergone the necessary training, have gone the necessary training in respect of subjecting themselves to exams with SACAP. So just to confirm on that one, Chair, the NHPRC is on board in respect of professionalization of inspectors. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, then there was a question, Chairperson, on by Honorable Malamacha on the issue of the mortgage and Chair, mortgage or financial institutions. Chair, the bill from section 81, 82, 83 provides that, and this obligation, Chair, goes, it's not only to financial institutions, but also to conveyances as well as estate agents, to ensure that prior to either a conveyancer registering or transferring a property, alternatively, the financial institution providing financial assistance through a bond, alternatively, estate agents selling a property, Chair, they need to ensure that that particular property, prior to those transactions happening, that they also have a duty to ensure that that property is enrolled with the NHPRC. Chair, I'm not sure if there are any other issues that I have, not responded to, but Chair, I'll hand over to the department and then I will come back on further issues. Thank you, Chair.
Department.
Paul, can you proceed, followed by DDG Sulunyane? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Indeed, in drafting these responses, we actually got the information from colleagues who attended the public hearings, but also in consultation with the committee, some of committee, or rather committee secretariat on some of these questions. I also want to indicate that Honorable Tseki indicated that some of these responses needed specific answers to specific people, which is correct. And there would have been some of the responses that we followed on with the same people who would have raised the issues. I would give one example of or rather Port Elizabeth, where there was issues that were raised about people who occupied, who were given the the title deeds. But when they were going there to occupy, they found other people already having occupied the house. There were quite a number of them. I wouldn't be able to list all of them, but the first person who raised the issue was Mamliz, who was representing quite a number of people who had a similar challenge. And the department would have started action in that process to visit those people with the side of the investigators from the department to find out what really transpired. And indeed, in some instances, they did find that there were those issues that were raised by community members, and they had several meetings to address those issues. But currently, they met the province of Eastern Cape. They are currently awaiting a date from municipal manager of Port Elizabeth so that they can meet with them to address some of these issues. So as and when we were receiving these things, there would have been those that the department started actioning them, but not all of them. Since at the recommendation, we request that we will, or rather we indicate that we will be having the team that would be led by IGR to make sure that we consolidate and clear these issues that have been raised. It is indeed correct that the issues of skills development, it's as raised by Honorable Malimacha. It's indeed correct that as we indicate that we have noted what it has been raised in the public hearings, that others were even indicating that it should not be a boardroom training of some kind. It's something that has been noted, and I'm sure there's a room for improving on it, which we note, and I think we'll have to take it further to ensure that there is a improvement on that part. Thanks, TG. Thank you.
DG?
DG Sulinyane.
Thank you, Acting DG. Honorable Chair and honorable members. Actually, I was just going to further explain about how was that information obtained. And I think Mr. Masamule has adequately responded on how he obtained the information as requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, members. I will just briefly touch on the training. When the bill also was drafted, it also took into consideration that there is a need of getting the proper qualifications for the previously disadvantaged individuals. As we all know that even mostly in the rural areas, we've got the home builders that are not registered, but also they build solid houses without having the paperwork. So when the bill was drafted, also it took into account that those individuals need to be elevated so that they can get the proper certificates and also benefit economically appropriately. So those details should be covered in the regulations, but that element was already elevated, the issues of the Maselandis in the built environment. Chair, the issue of disputes, maybe this one, well, maybe we can repeat this one in the next presentation in relation to the title deeds, more specifically the issue of deceased estates that the department has now got into consultation with the Department of Justice where a collaboration is being worked on, so that the Department of Human Settlements and the Department of Justice, and both parties, they know exactly what role they need to play in the matter of deceased estates, because more than often the beneficiaries, they will go to courts, and then the courts, they will refer them to the Department of Human Settlements. Over the years, there has not been clear in terms of what assistance or how the department could assist these beneficiaries. And the correspondence has already been sent to the Minister of Justice, and that there is that working arrangement that is being sought in terms of what paperwork or the expectations that the department can assist these individuals so that they don't get sent from pillar to post going forward. The issue of the contractor development program, I think we will note that one for NHBRC to enhance on that particular area, because the most emphasis is on the training, that we need to have the trained people who are building these houses for the sector. There is one point also that was, or who must ensure that the builders are registered. This issue also comes up quite often in our technical MINMEC, where NHBRC also does discover that the provinces do appoint the builders that are not registered at the right level for the construction of houses in the sector. So the provinces have got the responsibility when they appoint these builders, that they appoint the builders that are registered with the NHBRC, but also that for the work that they are being contracted for, they are registered at the right level. So that issue is being also addressed between the sector through the technical MINMEC, because it has been cited as a shortcoming in the delivery of houses. Chair, just the last point to touch on the budget in terms of the concurrent functions. The national department is not at the implementation level. Yes, we do get the budget that does get sent to the provinces and the municipalities under certain conditions at the implementation level. What we need to enhance in terms of our monitoring, as Chairperson, you have already alluded to. Because the question also that AG asked the National Department is that with all the shortcomings that we experience or we are aware of at the implementation level, it doesn't assist the sector when we continue to advance to transfer the budget in the midst of all the problems that will not have been sorted at the time. So the comment that I will make there is that we agree that we need to enhance our monitoring and evaluation, and to ensure also those conditions that are attached to the grants, they are managed closely, so that we do not expose ourselves even more. Chairperson, I will then stop here in terms of the questions that were asked. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me allow any follow-up from members. If there is any follow-up question, Honorable Malemacha.
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to say it is good that there's a program there's a progress in a way that people can realize the mistakes and where to improve. It's just one thing that the NHBRC must leave this session with one understanding. We are not disputing that their inspectors are qualified inspectors. The issue here is more of saying it's like there are not enough to cover the volume of work on the ground. And that alone makes them to not necessarily be proactive in the process, but to be reactive. And that alone causes a number of disputes with the subcontractors and whoever. Imagine a situation where I build a house, I'm at the window height. Somebody comes and pick up a mistake 3 course away from the foundation. So these are the things that we are raising. We are not necessarily disputing the qualification of the inspectors. We are also saying we think they are not that much enough. There is the need of extending. If they don't have budgets to do so, at what point do they work with the quality assurance inspectors from province to ensure that where there's work, we don't encounter such things that all in all is our fault, because the contract will say, where were you to pick up this defect? I mean, to detect this defect. You cannot come now and want us to go back. I just wanted to clarify that, Comrade Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Malamata. Just to add on what you are saying, when we met with provinces, we asked the same question with the provinces. The provinces, when they responded to our question, they were saying how now they are implementing, how they are dealing with the payment, because we're asking whether the payment is linked to the quality insurance. They were saying that now what they are doing, when they approve the slabs, then when there is a quality assurance of the building on the slabs, then the money will be then released. But what we found on the ground is something different. And by the way, some of the houses that were built, those some they are older, some they are new. And I think National Department at some point, why I'm raising the issue of in NHBRC, if the issue of the quality assurance is linked to the payment, we would not have this shadow work that is continuing, because the inspector would go and do the quality assurance on the slabs, and then the payment will be released, and then you get the building of the house. I'm told, as they were explaining provinces, when the wall is finished, then the
Chairperson, we can't hear you. Hello, Chair. Chairperson. Members, I'm going to call Chairperson and find out what is the problem with her gadgets. Hello, members, and hello to our guest. The chairperson has a problem of load shedding. She has just been disconnected. But in the meantime, can we wait for just a minute? She's going to rejoin using another gadget.
Okay, Kholiso.
Thank you very much. I'm reconnected. Kwaliso, can you hear me now?
Yes, Chairperson, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I was saying that as the province explained the issue that they are following up as a way of dealing with the poor quality or shadow works that are happening on the ground as houses are being built. They were saying that the system that they use now, they linked payment to quality assurance. But I'm saying with some of the houses that were built recently, there is no such, that thing is not happening, which I think, as Honorable Malemaza is saying, we are not saying this, the inspectors of NHBRC are qualified. We're saying they are not visible on the ground.
Recording in progress.
And therefore it will be important for that collaboration between themselves and municipality inspectors and provinces. And there must be a contractual arrangement such that people take liability in terms of the shadow work that is being done on the as we build houses for our people, because majority of houses that have been built in the provinces, they've been enrolled with the NHBRC, and this insurances that you're talking about, our people are not even aware of it, and nobody is informing them about it, and therefore they stay there with the house that they go into the house. 6 months the house is leaking, 6 months the house, there is cracks, and because they don't know where to go, they'll go to the councillor or whoever. The councillor doesn't get their issues to the department, and some of the offices of NHBRC are very far from our people, and we're saying to the provinces, as one of the things that we would have to do as to prevent some of these things, as we give people happy letters, it should then be indicated that your house has got this warranty. If you have a problem, please contact this person and the number, so that our people should not stay with the same problems, with the problems and without, they don't know where to go for help when the houses have been insured. The last thing is that we appreciate that the department was proactive in terms of issues that were raised, but there were a lot of people who, as we're trying to manage the meeting, we end up saying to them they must go and register their issues to the administrators. So we will, as we deal with the bill, finalizing the bill, compile those issues per person and those contacts of individuals, and then send to the department, and would want the response based on the issue of raised by a person in the public hearing, and how the department would have resolved that matter, and as a portfolio committee, at some point would have to go back to those people and check whether you've resolved those issues. Did Mogoto?
Thank you, Chairperson. what I would like to know from the department is that when that department do monitoring and evaluation from when the housing project is resumed, are they working concurrently with NHBRC, or do they do their quality assurance separately? And then at a certain point in time, the NHBRC also do come and check if quality work is being done. In case the department realizes that the work is shoddy, what do they do? Don't they recommend that the constructor stop doing shoddy work, so that at the end, there shouldn't be any defects at the end of the project? And another point is that the NHBRC, because they have more know-how than the department when it does, that's what I'm assuming, when it does monitoring and evaluation of the project, don't they realize that there are defects, or they come at the end of the project, and when they see these defects, what do? They just, applaud the work being done, even though it's shoddy work, because there is a lot of money that has been wasted. For example, we went for oversight in Thohoyandou the previous weekend. We went to Budeli, where we were shown houses that were very, very costly from the look of things, but money has been wasted, and the NHBRC was there, and it approved of the houses. And as a result of the complainants who were not satisfied about the shoddy work, other houses were built to replace the same houses. You find that in one yard, 2 houses were built, and then the other house was of shoddy work, and then a replica of this house that is of shoddy work was also built. And still in the second house, there were still complaints about certain defects in the second houses. So my question is, where is the Department of Human Settlement at that time? What are they saying about this shoddy work? And then where was the NHBRC? Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mahotu. Department.
Chairperson, with your permission, let me allow NHBRC to respond to the specifics, and then we will respond from the National Department. Thank you.
NHBRC.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you to Honorable Mahotu for raising those particular issues. Chairperson, the NHBRC as a general and not project specific, the NHBRC does undertake inspections of homes, not just subsidy homes, but also, non-subsidy homes. In this regard, Chairperson, if there are defects identified on site that is not in compliance with the technical requirements, the NHBRC would issue what we call a non-compliance to those particular home builders, which would then require or afford that particular home builder an opportunity to rectify those defects, Chair. So in this particular project, Chair, I'll obtain the details of this particular project from Koliswa, Chairperson, and then we will ensure that there are a team sent to this particular site, Chair, to go and conduct an investigation and then report back to the department. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chairperson, we also acknowledge the shortcomings of the monitoring and evaluation at national that we are busy enhancing. If everything was done correctly, was in order, we should not be having the poor quality of houses that now have to be reported by the individuals or the members of the community if everything was running smoothly. Because what gets elevated at a later stage is expected to be corrected right from the beginning. So what that now indicates is that there is a shortcoming in terms of the inspectorate work from our NHBRC. And also the point that we need also to enhance on is that even when the NHBRC has issued a non-compliance certificate, then what happens after that? What follow-ups are done after that? I think, Chairperson, that is the area that we need to enhance on, because only if we leave this matter at the issuance of the non-compliance certificates and there are no follow-ups, there is no assurance that those corrective measures have been done, they have been done correctly on time. Hence, then we find ourselves in the situation that we are in relation to the quality of the houses that have been delivered. From the national department does conduct the monitoring and evaluation. At some points, it will be with the NHBRC, as we know that NHBRC also is represented at the provincial offices. What seems to be lacking here, because we do as a national department highlight the areas of concern that needs attention to the provincial departments of human settlements. What we need also to enhance is the follow-ups, but also what now we are going to be starting to include in our M&E is that for each and every project that we are monitoring all the houses, we need also to have a site of the NHBRC approvals, because that will also indicate whether inspection has been done or whether maybe the inspection was omitted for whatever reason. So in that case, then you will be able then to know whether NHBRC has covered the inspectorate fully, or where the shortcoming happened, or is still in the pipeline, still on the way of correcting whatever is wrong with the houses. It does remain a concern when even the corrective measure of building a new house, also that's the same house also is a shoddy house, and then nobody picks that one up. That is the area that we need to collaborate with NHBRC so that also we are able to hold each other accountable. Where is the problem? Where is the source of the problem? Why are these problems not being solved? Because the cost of rework is very high. And the budget is not enough to continue to be doing rework all the time. It will also come to the point where also the inspectors are going to be held accountable. That part also in the current bill was covered because it has become evident that the inspectors, sometimes they issue certificates of compliance even on the projects that are not complying. So in the bill, that area was also included to the point that it will also go to the extent where the inspectors will be deregistered from the system. So that is the part of the ways that these areas, these matters will be corrected. But I must indicate that they will not wait until the bill is enacted because we are aware of these areas. So much of the improvement areas needs to be done correctly. Also in collaboration with the NHBRC, there is an area that we are attending to with the provincial departments of human settlements. Because when it comes to the enrolling of projects and houses, the role of the provincial departments of human settlements, sometimes it slows the progress. NHBRC has been holding sessions of sharing information with the provincial departments in terms of what they are expected to do, so that the processes are fast-tracked. because also it's not something that we will want to explain why the particular house is not completed simply because one is waiting for NHBRC or NHBRC says then the provincial department has not done a particular process correctly, because it all comes back to the sector as a whole. So those are the other dynamics that we are addressing as we move along. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. With that, we will package the issues as raised by the communities because
So
they
the head
have.
chair, Mr. Malmacha.
Mr. Malamacha?
No, thanks, Chairman. It's just there is this issue which I think we are not necessarily zooming on it, and we try to check who can we blame, forgetting that here all of us, we are talking about one thing, a house that is not belonging to us, belonging to the public, and we are saying it must be a quality. How do we assist? Because I thought the NHBRC, including the department itself, will also clarify the role of RI. Because in each, let's take a specific sector to say the low-cost houses. For a happy letter to be signed, the residential inspector attach his signature. And he cannot attach his signature without going to field to do the inspection. In the human settlement, in all the provinces, there are inspectors that we normally refer them as quality assurance inspectors. Before we take the whole blame to NHBRC, I wanted to get the collaboration, if not the usage of these three, and how do we really arrive to a poor, if not a shady work, whereas we have got such an enforced inspector or quality assurance inspectors, so that at the end of the day, when we leave here, before we point fingers, we must be able to emphasize there is a need of these three to work together or collaborate, so that at the end of the day, what we need to see happening on the ground is quality houses given to people for a longer time, because before there be a defect. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malemacha. I think that's what we were saying, all of us to say, and the acting DG has actually added that their monitoring and evaluation will then be able to use, again, checking the information of NHBRC, whether the NHBRC has done the quality assurance as they do monitoring and evaluation. And NHBRC, I understood Mrs. I forgot the surname, that that's how we would expect as we proceed forward, we see what is happening. But the most important thing is that the rectification program should be fast-tracked to acting DG, so that we close, as we close the gap in terms of tightening up the legislation and the operations of or monitoring and evaluation. But the rectification programs must be fast-tracked to make sure that those houses that were built with there is a shadow work that was done, they get corrected, and our people, as we do implement the new system, but those old challenges get resolved, so that there would be then a balance. As long as we don't do that, whenever we go on the ground, people who would come to complain to us will be the same people the people that their houses were built previously or long time ago by government, and we have to strengthen that rectification program, and municipalities that you get appointed as the developers or contractors, like what we found in Western Cape, and which does not account or does not implement as required by the NHBRC. We expect the department to deal with that problem, because in Western Cape, majority of developers are municipalities, and that they are with private contractors, you go through the process of removing them and blacklisting them. But with municipality, we don't know what to do. I think at some point would have, as you come back to us, would want to know, in the environment where municipality become a developer or a contractor, a developer, if there is this shadow work identified, as what is the process of removing them as or disqualifying them as you qualify the private developers and contractors. So that is something that we would have to understand from yourself, DG, and the department as we move forward on the matter. We will actually package the issues, and then we'll officially send them to the minister, so that the team that you are going to establish, which we are appreciative of, the report that should come back to us must talk to the issues raised by an individual person, how the matter has get resolved, and we will, so that as the portfolio committee will go back to individuals and check whether indeed that the work has been corrected, or the issues that they've raised have been addressed by provinces and your good selves and municipalities. And thank you very much with that. And unless if you have a closing remark, DG.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. If I can touch just quickly on two issues, the rectification program. This is the program that the department or the sector used to have many years ago. And that program, as it was, it ceased to operate. One of the reasons was that it also proved to be very costly, and also in the light of the fact that the contractors were not necessarily being seen to be held accountable for the shoddy work. So it was just a continuation of rectifying or building the new houses without holding anybody accountable. The last MINMEC decision that I recall was that if there is any need for any rectification that will be proposed by the provincial departments of human settlements, each case will be treated on its merit, and the request will be coming from the MECs to the minister for the consideration thereof. But the old rectification program, as it was, it ceased to operate. I can't remember the year, but it's many years ago. The second part is the role of the municipal inspectors. It is correct that not everything has to be the responsibility of the NHBRC. The municipal inspectors as well, therefore, the role to play. I think what the Honorable member is raising is the collaboration of the two. And what I'm aware of is that also the new bill did touch on the role of the municipal inspectors in HBRC, because there is no duplication in those respective areas. So we will take that also as a point of enhancement, that we need to enhance this relationship and the collaboration, so that we know where we have to hold NHBRC responsible, and also the same should also be applied in relation to the work of the municipal inspectors. Those will be my closing remarks, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's 4 minutes to 11. I would then ask that we break for 5 minutes as we go into the second item. Koliso, 5 minutes break. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
that we have received from the community of Ga-Rankuwa. So I'm going to ask Sabelo just to table it formally, and then
Morning, honorable members and our guest. I'm going to take you through the petition. So the properties that form subject to this petition belong to the previously called Baputso-Tswana Homeland and Baputso-Tswana Housing Corporation. They belonged to the affordable home rental stock. With the new dispensation, the Northwest Housing Corporation inherited these properties. Around 1999, the Northwest Housing Corporation encouraged the occupants of these properties to purchase for ownership. They did that as advised.
Can you put the petition on the screen, please?
Yeah. Can you see now, Koliswa?
Yes.
Okay. So around 1999, the Northwest Housing Corporation encouraged the occupants of these properties to purchase for ownership. They did as advised. They paid the money to the Northwest Housing Corporation in full, whilst they waited for the title deeds to be issued. Another development came. Then they were evicted from these properties by people claiming to have bought the same houses from CTMM. It is at this point that they realized that there was a problem. They approached both the Northwest Housing Corporation and CTMM for clarity and solution. But to date, no progress has been seen. It is the reason for this petition. And below the list of people that, or the properties that are affected. So this is 2,281, Unit 8 in Ga-Rankuwa, 992, Zone 7 in Ga-Rankuwa, and 2,827, Zone 2 in Ga-Rankuwa, and 309, Block X in Mabopane. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sabelo. We'll then actually get the department just to brief us in terms of the the policies of the old houses, because there was I'm not sure whether these houses is it the houses like those houses in the township of other township, so way to Seshego, Guguletu, and all those other areas where I think is it Minister Joslovo, it's just I can't remember who was then the minister at that time, where decision was taken that these houses, because we were building houses for for people who are poor, because people were paying rent to the previous government, in the Bantustan areas. Houses, there was a resolution by government that because government now is providing subsidies for a particular category of people, in this case with people who are paying rent in this, this township, therefore their houses those houses should be given to them, those that have not bought those houses. Just to go to the policy basic, so that as we tackle this matter, we know that we are within the policy framework. Department.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members.
Recording in progress.
We have prepared the presentation as a department. And previously we had alluded to the fact that this is now a ministerial project which is now a priority. And that minister has been meeting these members of the community since January, and we continue to do so. With your permission, Chairperson, let me allow DDG Cheney, who will take the committee through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, DG.
Afternoon, morning, Honorable Chair, morning, Honorable members, acting DG colleagues. I'm just going to check if, Koliswa, are you guys going to flight the presentation, or Paul, will you flight it? Okay, thanks. Chair, with your permission, I've also got with me who's managing the project, who's the program manager on the project, and that's Ms. Luann Werner. So, okay, that's the purpose. Can I just go to the next slide, please? Thanks. Chair, the purpose is basically for the portfolio committee to note the work that's been undertaken by the department to resolve the matter of the outstanding title deeds in the Mawiga area. And Mawiga refers to Mabopane, Winterveld, and Ga-Rankuwa. So that acronym then stands for that. Chair, just to indicate the Northwest, and I'll come back to the point that you raised, Mr. Chairperson, in relation to what the Minister had indicated, as well as what Minister Kubai has indicated now. The Northwest Housing Corporation is a Schedule 3C entity, public entity. It was established in 1982, and I see that there are colleagues from the Northwest Housing Corporation, so they will be able to further elaborate on some of the issues here. The entity has been operating as a parastatal in the Northwest with the executive authority of the MEC. Point 2, the legal mandate is contained in Section 19 of the Northwest Housing Corporation Act. We've made copies of that available. And then also post 1994, the functions and the responsibilities of the Northwest Housing Corporation were then subsumed and taken over by the Northwest Provincial Department, provincial government, and it falls under the ambit of the executive authority of the MEC in terms of their own arrangements. As we indicate on that previous slide, on point, the Housing Act does provide for the provincial powers. Just to indicate, Chair, you are correct that in terms of the policy dispensation that was approved, that is still in place by government as per the 1994-1997 directives, all houses that were previously constructed or which were subject to a loan or a grant from the previous regime, that's pre-94, pre-27 April, those houses were directed to then be facilitated for transfer. What was then traditionally, so you'll know the 99-year lease that was applicable in the African areas, You had certain government houses that were built in the so-called white, Indian and colored areas. And all of those houses pre-1994, there were dispensations that dispensation was put in place that there would be transfer of those houses to the people entitled. In respect of the Northwest, you'll know that the Northwest, the houses in question did form part of the pre-1994 stock that was built together with grants, be it by Northwest or whatever. Those houses then fell or does fall under that dispensation. So there is a requirement, there is it's mandatory, and there's a policy that we must implement that. So we must be clear about that. Just indicate the corporation was ordered to cease its operations by 31st of March 2010 by then Premier Modisela. This process has not been completed, and due to verification, valuation of the assets register, Chairperson, I think the colleagues from the province, Northwest, as well as the Northwest Housing Corporation, will then be able to explain further on that. In 2010, the National Treasury, as we indicate there, recommended a service provider be appointed to drive the winding down process legally, financially, and operationally. And this was supposed to have been concluded. Just to indicate, to date, the corporation still operates and has not submitted a verified asset register on the loan book. And Minister Kubai has requested that. So we have not received that. We've been promised, we've been committed that, but that hasn't happened. The property portfolio, as I indicated, includes rented houses, installment houses, flats, farmland, vacant stands in the Northwest, Gauteng, Northern Cape, Free State. In the case of Mawiga, those properties straddle Northwest Gauteng, but in terms of demarcation, they fall under the city of Tshwane. So they fall within the magisterial or the jurisdiction of the city of Tshwane. So what has happened is that in terms of processes between the provinces of Northwest, the Northwest Housing Corporation, Gauteng, as well as the city of Tshwane, they have the responsibility to make sure that the Mawiga residents are given their title, and they've got to work out the system. So what has happened is that the minister was approached by a Mawiga petitioners group in January. In fact, last year, December, ministers met with them personally and committed that as the national department, we will then intervene to make sure that that this matter is addressed. I just need to indicate, Chair, that we have also provided a report because I'm not sure, and the petitioners may want to comment on this, but I know that the matter was dealt with by the Public Protector's Office. We have made a copy of that available to yourselves as part of the document pack. There was a determination that was made by the Public Protector. In essence, the Public Protector said to Gauteng, Northwest, City of Tshwane, and the Northwest Housing Corporation, do your work, make sure that these households get their title deeds. So you'll see in terms of the ministerial project and where it's come from. It's gone through Petitioners Group, National Council of Provinces. They presented it to the Premier Gauteng in 2017. Engagements with Gauteng continued until 2020. And then they approached the National Department in 2020. Next slide. And as I indicate in the last point 3 there, they met with the minister. Ministers then indicated. Minister has engaged with the MECs responsible for the Northwest and Gauteng, City of Tshwane, Northwest, to obtain all the necessary information, including the corporation's loan book, to resolve the Mawiga matter. Minister directed in terms of powers that she has, as presented by the corporation that could be transferred, and we are then should be transferred without details. So there are those properties, Chairperson, members of the committee, that can be transferred as we sit, because there's no legal compliance or regulatory impediment that where those title deeds cannot be issued. But there's a small number, and Luan will indicate that, that still have to be dealt with in terms of the Northwest Housing Corporation, because the Northwest Housing Corporation is indicating that they must be paid the balance of these loans. In terms of process, the loans are supposed to be written off. So that's a discussion for another day. So we've concluded. You'll see that point 6, human settlements development plans process were concluded in April 2022. Unfortunately, Gauteng and Northwest did not comply with the directives. They did not put any of these titles in the or transfers into the business plans. Gauteng only put in 50 title deeds. Next slide. And I think the Northwest portfolio is 15, but the 15,000 province only prioritized the 1,098. The department did not submit any of the business plans, and through the Director General, we directed correspondence to the provinces to amend. Minister then in 2022 drafted correspondence to the members of Executive Council to inquire from them how they are processing the transfers. We've not received, so Ministry might indicate whether or not there has been any responses. Last check we did was there was nothing. Then, in order to address this issue, Minister Kubai, which we advised that Minister declare this a ministerial project to be funded and implemented by the National Department, informing the Minister of Finance and by nature also the Portfolio Committee. So I assume that we will get your indication of that. So the fact of the matter is that the National Department will utilize its funds, because all we are doing is we are using our monies, our grant, our operational budget, to appoint a conveyancer to then commence with the uncontested properties, which sits at 7,000. There's another 4,000 properties where loans will be written off, or there will be some of the other measure that both province together with the Northwest Housing Corporation and Gauteng will deal with. We've set up a technical working group established with the Mawiga Petitioners. It's chaired by our department. Our supply chain processes are nearly complete, with and that will include beneficiary verification, document collections, and transfer of the property. So they will be title transferred. Just in relation to the petitioners, for this purpose, in terms of what we've done, and just there, as I've referred, there is a Public Protector Report 2018 investigation into allegations of maladministration by the Northwest Housing Corporation and City of Tshwane regarding improprieties in the sales and transfers of properties by the Northwest Housing Corporation situated within the boundaries of the City of Tshwane. The findings include, there are those 4 there, remedial. I think the important part is recommendation D, remedial actions to be implemented by the MECs responsible for human settlements in Gauteng, Northwest, Executive Mayor, City Manager, Chairperson, and CEO of the Northwest. Next slide. And I think the colleagues from City of Tshwane will then comment on what the outcome is on the Public Protector's report. There's a review there. But point 4 is important to note, Chair. Notwithstanding, the department's view is that the remedial action by the Public Protector be considered, notwithstanding the review application insofar as organs of state. The point being, Chairperson, the households must be transferred and must be given title. The fact that we've had all of these administrative inefficiencies, lapses, oversights should not bear on the shoulders of those households, and hence we've taken, or minister's taken the decision, and I think we should just recommendation to that the portfolio committee note the implementation of the ministerial project. Chair, with your permission, I'm going to ask Ms. Werner to comment just on specific items where I might have left, as well as additional technical and information with regards to your points. Thank you, Chair. Luan, if you don't mind, please.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. Am I audible?
Yes. Can we see your face, because we don't know whom you're speaking to? DD Chain, we know him as being here. Okay. Then you can close.
I'm here, ma'am.
Yes. You can close your camera and proceed if you want. Thank you.
Chair, I think it's important to understand that there are two matters here. The one matter is the bigger Mawiga petitions group, which Minister has taken upon herself to resolve at least 7,000 of the uncontested properties under this ministerial project. The other matter is the matter that was brought to the portfolio committee of the 4 individuals. They happen to reside in the Mawiga area, but they are not part of the formal petitions group. So what transpired here, I think what we tried to do as a department is to give the portfolio committee the context of the operations of the Northwest Housing Corporation, what we're trying to resolve, a number of issues around the corporation insofar as the residential property portfolio is concerned. And then secondly, to make the committee aware of our views on this particular matter that is now before the committee today. So the ministerial project and the information on the corporation was to contextualize these 4 that are before the committee. It's also important to note that the matter of the 4 was never brought to the Department of the National Department of Human Settlements' attention. What had transpired is the public protector investigated the matter in 2018 and issued that report. The public protector found a basis for maladministration in that in 3 of the instances, the beneficiaries' properties were allegedly sold to third parties, and that the failure to formalize the township establishment on these properties in the area where the properties are located, and also the fact that transfer were not effected to the beneficiaries. You are right, Chair, it was under Minister Joe Slovo that the first directive came on pre-94 properties. That was around 1993, and we were still dealing with transitional local and rural councils. But in terms of that first directive, all properties developed for and on behalf of beneficiaries by any entity of state should have been transferred into the names of the beneficiaries, be they 99-year leases or PTOs, permissions to occupy. You will note that it's not only a residential portfolio, Chair, there are also the old business sites and the church sites, and under the title restoration project, we are transferring all of those properties into the names of those beneficiaries and families of those beneficiaries who've been occupying the properties since inception. So in the case of the 4 that is before the portfolio committee, I think they approached the committee after the remedial action proposed by the public protector was not implemented. The public protector basically said between Gauteng, Northwest and City of Tshwane, can you effect township establishment? Can you make reparations or ensure that these people get their properties, and then ultimately ensure that they get title to their properties? And that did not happen. Then in 2021, the city of Tshwane took the public protector's report on review. From what we are reading into the matter, Chair, it appears as if there's a lot of documents that the city of Tshwane did not have sight of, and that they claim the public protector did not have sight of, that if the public protector had access to some of the documents relating to the property histories, the public protector may have come to a different conclusion. And so that is the basis that they claim rationality, that then that is the basis for the review application. Like I say, we don't know what the outcome of this matter is. But Chair, I think from the National Department's point of view, we became aware of this matter when we received the invitation to attend this meeting. It was not raised with us before. And we investigated from our side what may have transpired. So the 4 individuals before the committee today does not form part of our original Mawiga initiative, which is largely an uncontested residential property portfolio of about 7,000 that we are dealing with currently. But I think the reason that this came to the portfolio committee is precisely because we have not done right by all of the residents in the Mawiga area as government. And so it's part of what we are trying to resolve on the residential property side. So now we are sitting at an impasse where the public protector's recommendations were not implemented. There is a review pending. And further to that, the petitioners have got nowhere else to turn. These 4 individual petitioners have got nowhere else to turn in terms of resolving their issue, because the township establishment has not yet been effected, which then raises questions about an illegal sale of the property and how that could have occurred. That notwithstanding, I think, Chair, it was just important for the National Department to contextualize this complaint within the bigger Mawiga area petitions and what we are dealing with, and within the context of the Northwest Housing Corporation and their mandate. Thanks, Chair. I will leave it there.
Thank you very much. Department, Northwest, anything? I've seen the MEC is part of the meeting. MEC? Northwest Department? I've seen the MEC has gone. Gauteng, are you here? Gauteng. Tshwane.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. My name is Petal Thring. I'm from the city of Tshwane. Thank you to National for their presentation and the background. I'm sorry we weren't able to get the report from Northwest, because I do think that they submitted one. Yes, we have taken the matter on review. We do not have an outcome of the court matter as yet, so we will share that with you once we have that. However, the 3 of the 4 townships are proclaimed. It's only the last one for 2281. There are transfers in that area, so I'm not sure what the problem is. And we will re-look into that one to make sure that the proclamations have been sorted out. I think from our side, Chair, That's all. Thank you.
Northwest Development Corporation. Northwest Development Corporation.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. From the Northwest Housing Corporation,
Camera, please.
And indicate who you are, sir, for the purpose of recording.
Okay, Selomo Khodiri, CEO, Northwest Housing Corporation. We did submit a report, but what we are saying is that all those properties were transferred by City of Tshwane, but not the Northwest Housing Corporation, which should not have been a case because City of Tshwane is not the owner of those properties. As for our remedial directives in terms of the public protector for gratia or token of forgiveness of 10,000 rand to individual members, which was received, we have fully complied. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let me ask honorable members to ask questions for clarities. Members, Honorable Mokhotu, can I note the hands? Honorable Mokhotu.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just heard now from the CEO of Northwest that they have already transferred the properties to their owners. But as I was reading the presentation, my understanding was there are still people who did not receive their properties back after they've been illegally sold to private owners or to other private owners. Now, what I would like to know is that what does the department have, or what does the department going to do about the people that did not receive their properties back from the Northwest Housing Corporation after their properties were sold to other people? And I'm referring to these people who did not want compensation or who were not compensated for their properties because all they want or need is their properties, not compensation. And then when you go on the presentation, it is stated that in 2010, the Premier then ordered that the Northwest Housing Corporation should cease to operate. And again, in August 2010, the Treasury recommended that a service provider be appointed to drive the winding down process of the Northwest Housing Corporation. And the service provider was appointed in November 2010. And, he was given clear directive that what he should do is, or he or she do, is to verify the asset register or the loan book of the housing corp. But we are told, or we're made aware that to date, there's no compliance by the Northwest Housing Corporation. So my question to the minister and the department is, Chairperson.
Can I ask? Can I ask you to mute, please?
Disconnect.
Hey, mute. Who's this? Russell, Mr. Russell, please mute. Mr. Russell, please mute. Proceed, Honorable Mogoto.
We are told or made aware that to date, the Housing Corp of Northwest has not cooperated with the minister's request. So since the Northwest Housing Corporation does not want to adhere to the minister's request or to comply, what measures has the minister put in place to deal effectively with non-compliance of the Northwest Housing Corp? And what is the time frame of dealing effectively with the Northwest Housing Corp for not complying to the request of the minister and the Treasury or Treasury's recommendation? And then another thing is that there's something that I'm not clear of. Before 1994, we all know that a majority of our Black people who were staying in the then suburbs or townships or locations were renting houses. And as they were renting houses, some of them, they were renting, and eventually they were allowed to buy those houses under the 99-year lease program. And then some of them were able to pay up their houses. And then some of our poor people were not able to. But after 1994, most fortunate, I'll specifically talk about houses in the Gauteng province, especially in Soweto. They were given free those houses, and they were also issued out title deeds. So what I want to know, because we are all, whether you are staying in Northwest or in Gauteng province or wherever, we are all citizens of South Africa and under one rule or law. Why did that not happen with Northwest Human Settlements? Or why did the Northwest Housing Corp not give for free all those houses that were rented, where people were paying rent, and then as a result, some of them forfeited their houses because they were either retrenched from their work and they could not afford renting anymore those houses. And then some of these households were given, I'm referring to Northwest, they were given an opportunity to purchase those houses over a certain period of time. And then those that were given an opportunity to purchase over a certain period of time, some of them, due to the fact that they lost their jobs, they were not working anymore, they could no more afford, to continue with paying the installment of those houses which they initially rented before 1994. Why is the Human Settlement Department of Northwest not doing likewise, like what happened in Soweto, for example? Why don't they give these people these houses for free? Because majority of these people are not working. And some of the owners of these houses have passed on, they've left children in these houses, and you find that some of these children that are occupying these houses, they're not working.
Am I allowed to call order, Chair?
Don't disrupt me.
You are not allowed, Honorable Zeki. Allow Honorable Mokgoto to finish.
Thank you, Chairperson. And then I have again an instance or an example of house number 1389, Unit 4 Mukhwase. This house was purchased from Northwest Housing Corp. And the owner of this house has proof that the house was paid up. There was a time when the Housing Corp of Northwest came through the municipality of Moses Kotane, came to the residents of Mukhwase requiring certain documents and proof that some of the houses that were bought at that time were paid up so that people be issued out title deeds. And then the Housing Corp, they hired a private company to come and assist them with regard of accumulating information or proof of people that claim that they've paid up the houses, and they would also like, these houses to be transferred into their names. Instead, the owner of this house provided all that was required. But when other properties or houses were transferred to the owners of the houses in Mukhwase, this household owner did not receive, or her house or his house was not transferred. And instead, he was told that he is owing a certain amount of money, yet he or she had proof that the house was paid up. He had proof. So I want to know, how is MEC Selom Khodiru going to assist the household of this house so that his house also be transferred to his name, because he has paid, he doesn't owe, for the fact that he has proof from Housing Corp with a letterhead of Housing Corp stating that you have paid out the house. How come then they say to him, you have not paid up the house? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zeki. Honorable Zeki. You've raised your hand.
Chair.
Yes.
Honorable Mokgoto will make a mistake of missing other houses. Yes, I'm talking, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Chairperson, point
Yes,
of order.
No, Honorable Mokgoto, I've allowed you to finish. Allow Honorable Zeki to finish. I'll rule how
He
we
must
should
not
handle
address
it.
me. He must ask his question, please. I do not want any answer from the questions that I've asked from Honorable Zeki, because I
Honorable Zeki is not asking.
Honorable
It's not responding to your question. It doesn't have the answers, Honorable Mokgoto. Allow Honorable Zeki to talk, because I didn't even hear what you were saying, and you have interjected it, and I refused when he interjected you. Honorable Zeki. Honorable Zeki, proceed.
He's disconnected, Chair.
Oh, okay. We'll give him an opportunity when he comes back. Let's welcome the presentation from the department. and the additions and what the Northwest Development Corporation and City of Tshwane are saying. But my worry is that I don't get relevant department, because 1993, the policy instruction was issued by Minister Slovo that all these houses that people were renting throughout the country, because government is giving people subsidies, those that are earning from 0 to 3.5, they would have to get the houses for free. Those that are earning 3.5 to 700, is it 700 department, you'll correct me, they qualified for, is it help me to buy a house, and all those relevant policies of houses. And then you have Department of Northwest, they were supposed to tell us how did it happen that after the instruction of minister, they have not actually implemented, because the entity, the Development Corporation, understand. Maybe they can answer why did they continue with this selling.
We are losing you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Northwest Housing Corporation.
How did, can I finish and then you'll then respond? How
Thank
did
you,
it happen that after the minister's prescript, there was a continuation of the Housing Development Corporation managing these houses? I'll come to the City of Tshwane, because I don't understand where do they feature into the whole process, how they come, they sell the houses that are not belonging to them. We would want to get to that answer. Whether I'm not talking about yet the issue of the public protector, I'm talking about the policy. How did it happen that you continue to manage houses even after the instruction, even after there was an establishment of the Department of Human Settlement in Northwest, and then you Development Corporation continued to have the function itself, if it was done previously. The second issue is with Tshwane. How do you sell the house that doesn't belong to you? Can I get clarity on that? Development Corporation, and then the department will be the last to respond to the issues that Honorable Mafoto has raised. CEO.
Chairperson, thank you very much.
Yes.
The 7,500 subsidy was credited to all the 99-year leased properties.
In all provinces.
And then the Honorable Minister Joslovo's pronouncement did not cover houses that were built by the Bob government or loan houses or bond houses. So we do have a complaint of the city of Tshwane transferring properties that does not belong to them because it results into a double sale. And Chairperson, we are not aware of any contravention of the minister's directive from our side. We have make it our business to comply and avail all the information for that directive to have been issued. And the sooner we dispose of and we have signed all the papers relating to the power of attorneys for the purposes of the proclamations. The loan book have also been submitted. Thank you, Chair.
City of Tshwane.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly the point and one of the contentions that we have about the Public Protector's report as well. And I think the member was right in the fact that we cannot sell property that is not ours. Two, we do not sell property that we deal with as human settlements. We deal with human settlements, RDP houses, and those are the ones that are transferred. They are not for sale. So this is a matter that needs to be looked at more seriously to see exactly, because there's no way that the city, one, can sell property that is not theirs, but two, we do not deal with bonded property. We only deal with RDP stands and serviced sites. So there's no way that, in our view, that we could have sold these properties. I think that was the only question that was tabled for us, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The City of Tshwane Department. Mr. Shane.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think as Luan's indicated, and based on the directive from the minister, based on the best interests of the citizens and the community in Mawiga, we've taken the view that we will resolve this issue. And I think members Tseki and Malameche will know that we faced a similar problem in Ekurhuleni, where there were certain houses that still had a balance after the write-off that Mr. Mokhodiris raised in relation to those. Now, between the province and the Northwest Housing Corporation, they can take up that matter, because the issue is that, yes, there may be a balance that still remains, and then in terms of that, the balance, that would be something that the MEC together with the respective board would have to take. So it has been, it's not a case unique to the Northwest. I think what we can do is we can then, on the basis of where we go from here, additionally get the reports from the colleagues from the Northwest as well as Tshwane with regards to these properties and present a report. I think the important part here is, one, the confirmation and the clarity around the question of the township establishment. So has the township establishment done? If it hasn't been done, then Tshwane and or the province or this corporation must undertake that. Secondly, a verification of those transfers and why those transfers were made and whether or not there was fraud or corruption in relation to that. And then fourthly, a process of rectification of the legal processes should that be required. Thanks, Chair. But as I've indicated, from the department's point of view, and I think the acting DG is here, we've committed that we're going to look at this matter in its totality, and as in, on the basis of just what are the quick wins. The quick wins now are those 7,000 uncontested. The second part will obviously be, as indicated, those properties where there are loans still outstanding, and what are the processes and what are the interventions that can be made. Chair, on the aspects related to the Northwest and Northwest Housing Corporation City of Tshwane, as Honorable Mofutu's raised, unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if we're in a position to comment on that on their behalf at this stage. Thanks, Chair. I don't know if the acting DG or Luan has got anything to comment on. Thanks.
Acting DG.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The presentation, I think it covered all our actions and also where we have failed to accomplish the objective because we were dependent on our colleagues such as Northwest, City of Tshwane and Gauteng. But Honorable Chair, I think our presentation also does demonstrate that the Minister has done the best in order to attend to this matter. And we continue to meet them on regular basis, as we have also appointed the service provider to work on their title deeds. But the point of cooperation from the key stakeholders cannot be overemphasized, because then this matter will not be able to be closed properly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Acting DG. This petition involve those areas that were we've put it on the screen initially, and we want to acknowledge the work that is being done by the department based on the petitions that they've received from the same area. But what we're dealing here is that these people, they've bought houses with development corporation of Northwest. Before they can receive their title deed, there was the issue of redemarcation, and the City of Tshwane sell the same houses to other people. As we speak, these people, they are on the street. I want us to listen to them because they are here in the meeting. I want the City of Tshwane and the Northwest Development Corporation to listen to the petitioners. And secondly, we would want the department, as you deal with this issue, because there is an issue of Tabanchu. All the houses that were belonging to Northwest Province, the former Buputatswana areas, the Northwest Development Corporation still are responsible for those houses, and we don't understand why, because the CEO responded to the questions that the pronouncement of the minister didn't include the Vuputatswana. I don't understand this issue. What does that mean? But we'll come back to that issue. I want us to listen to the petitioners now on this specific matter, and we'll come back to the issue that the CEO you are raising, that the pronouncement of the Minister Slovo didn't include Vuputatswana. We would want to get the clarity on that part, and then we'll then even include the issue that is raised by Honorable Mohotu, because it's very critical. Can I allow the petitioners to talk on these matters? Poliswa? And I'm told that they needed a translation. I'm not sure whether they were following us as we're proceeding, but they can speak in Setswana, and then there is a translators from Parliament who will translate what they are saying.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, my leaders. My name is Ernest Hanswe. I'm one of the petitioners from Ga-Rankuwa. Yes, our presentation of this petition is based upon the fact that we have been evicted from the houses that we have paid for. We bought our houses from Northwest Housing Corporation. We paid up our properties, and then whilst we were waiting to receive our title deeds, then something terrible happened. We were evicted, and we were thrown in the streets. We were never given alternative accommodation, and then we had to see how to finish everything on our own. Now, after this happened, we started to connect with Housing Corporation to exactly find out exactly why should these things happen. And the Housing Corporation had to prove with the documents that we indeed bought these properties, and then we are the only people that they know. Now, there was this thing of City of Tshwane selling houses. You know, that one really, we could see that it was not actually true. There are some individuals in the offices of City of Tshwane who are doing this dirty job. In the name of City of Tshwane, as I listened to that official from City of Tshwane, Ms. Patel, indeed, Tshwane does not sell houses. We know that when we were moved from Vuputatswana to Northwest, and from Northwest to Gauteng, there was that great period that people took advantage of. Because we understood that, okay, the land belongs to City of Tshwane, but the top structures, the houses, still belong to Northwest. But people were told that no, City of Tshwane is now selling the houses. There are so many documents that actually tell that people say that they bought properties from City of Tshwane, and you know, it's surprising. And they have the title deeds as well. This is what actually gave them the power to evict us. So we had endless meetings, endless inquiries. We never got the truth. There was in 2014, under the leadership of Jason Ngobeni in City of Tshwane, they initiated that there should be an investigation to find out exactly what is happening. And then after the results, the ARMS was actually responsible under Boreka Motlanthe. After the report was completed, the City of Tshwane never actually adhered to that report. Then we had to go forward to the public protector, because we realized that there are certain individuals within the department that are actually causing this trouble. These white-collar criminals. They are working with these criminals called the estate agents. So, it becomes a very, very serious problem where people who are doing the same crime, they're trying to help you. You'll never arrive. So then we proceeded to the public protector. An investigation that took about 3 to 4 years was done. And the remedial action was supposed to be implemented. To this day, nothing. The only people who responded was Northwest Housing Corporation. I can just read the letter, if you allow me, that they wrote to us. It's an email, a complaint lodged with the Office of the Public Protector in respect of account number. Well, it was actually directed to my house. House number 2281, Unit 8, Ga-Rankuwa. The above-mentioned complaint filed with the Office of the Public Protector against the Northwest Housing Corporation and the City of Tshwane refers. We have received a finding and report from the Office of the Public Protector dated 10 August 2018. In view of the recommendations made by the Public Protector, we wish to apologize for the long time it has taken to resolve this matter. As a token of goodwill, we offer you an ex gratia amount of 10,000 rand to compensate you for the pain and inconvenience caused by the delay. Kindly forward your banking details to the Office of the Chief Executive Officer, Northwest Housing Corporation, to enable us to make this payment into account. The City of Tshwane has been directed to fast-track and prioritize the process of sourcing an alternative suitable property for you, as the property in question is now owned by another individual. We are committed to supporting you to ensure that you are able to effectively utilize allocated property. Yours sincerely, Mr. Franz Bushielo, Acting CEO, Northwest Housing Corporation. This is the only feedback that we received after the report of the Public Protector. But I was actually disturbed by the presentation of Tesla saying that they have actually addressed this problem of Russia given each individual 10,000 rand. I personally and other members have not received that 10,000 rand. Anyway, we were not happy because 10,000 rand. What is 10,000 rand? We are talking of 16 years of struggle. We have been running after this case for 16 years. I was evicted myself. I was evicted from the house in 2006, January 27. So to date, we have been running until today, until this day. So it has been actually a worrying factor that even after the report of the Public Protector, there was nothing. There was nothing. Nothing happened. And then until we hit after some years, that's when they started reviewing, taking this thing on review. We were asking, how long should it take after the report has been released for the review to be considered? So we found it very, very tricky. In any case, we are here now today. I think the report has been actually shared by members. And then the only thing that we want to hear is for the members or this honorable committee to resolve this matter amicably, and we must get our properties, and we must actually, the redress that they are talking about, we need really to be redressed in terms of the damages that has been done. I myself, I want to be very, very vocal about this one. I went to Malaysia to go and represent the country in 2006, September, or the International Delphi Games. These are the Arts Olympics. And then as I was excited on my coming back with a gold medal, this is what I got at the beginning of the year, 2006. And really, this is not on. It disturbed my life. My life was derailed. And really, you get confused because even people who hear about these things, because you must remember, when we talk of eviction, this was a daylight operation. People take goods from your house, they put them in the street. And because we have got this corrupt policeman this corrupt, what do you call, sheriff, these corrupt estate agents, they connive. When you go to the police, they send you back. When you go to the sheriff say no, we've got the court order. When you go to the magistrate is part of them. This is what was happening throughout. And then, you know, after this incident, we started to make people aware that they must go and check their houses from the DIS office. And many people realized that their houses are no more in their names. So this is a very painful experience that we had. And we are happy today that God has allowed an opportunity for us to meet with your committee. You know, these are things that people have actually tried to disturb us from actually reaching. Because I can tell you, we've been actually trying to meet with the public protector herself. People from her office refused us that opportunity. Now here we are, luckily, the chairperson. We really want to thank you very much for allowing us this platform to present our story. There are so many things that we'll tell you, so many things, so many hidden things. We have experienced a lot of pain, and we have lost opportunities, we have lost business, we have lost money, we have lost friends. You know, once you're in such a problem, people start to look at you different. They talk stories, they start to formulate stories. They will even tell the world things. The day I was evicted, I remember one of my cousins was working in Saudi Arabia. She phoned me the following day. What do I hear? What is, you know, this is how fast this bad news can travel. So, given the background that we have, a person who has just gotten an award of a gold medal for the country, he cannot even promote herself or himself. So this is a situation. In short, I want to give other members an opportunity to present their cases, their side of stories, but they are almost the same, because the whole exercise that was actually done by these criminals was the same. They will go to these officials. They will use City of Tshwane documents or letterheads, and then start to draft so-called title deeds and all those things. But you know, whilst I commend the action taken by Northwest Housing Corporation, I also want to blame them, because after they've known that people have removed us from the houses that they know they've received money from us, they did nothing. They did nothing. We have had so many meetings, and amongst them, some of the officials, some of the employees were just telling people other stories. That we are coming there, we're just traveling them. There's nothing that we are fighting for. So we know all these things, but we will actually be happy to see this committee, you know, putting this matter to finality, so that we can actually start to reconnect with our families, start to forget, to be happy, to have a smile on our faces, because we have lost so many people who died as a result of these cases. I know Mr. Mahapi passed on. He was also worried. Mrs. Ljingwane passed on, because you know it's bad. An elderly person who's sick being told that no, you must get out of this house. Thrown out. I remember the first night after I've been thrown out of the house, I went to court to go and challenge this thing. I got a lawyer, and then he accompanied me to the court. And we met Magistrate Van Rooyen, and he wrote a court order that reversed the initial court order. I took the court order to the sheriff. The sheriff referred me to the house. When I arrived at the house, the guard who was guarding the house at the time, because they locked the gate, they locked me out. He was actually waiting for the estate agent. Now I left the house, I went to the police station. The police said to me, no, why is this court order written by a different magistrate? They never acted. I had to call a certain Aubrey Mohali, who was a prosecutor at the time, to come and assist me. He came. It was Friday. I remember that Friday, there was a lot of rain. You know, I could imagine what is happening to my properties, to my belongings. So Aubrey tried to explain to the police exactly what that order was all about. The police refused. And then on Saturday, because it was Friday, we went back to that particular magistrate to inform him that the police are unable to implement your court order. He wrote another letter to the police, and that was the end of it. So since that day, I never went back to my house till today. We're talking 16 years ago. I wish to thank you to give other members of the petitioners to present their stories. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The second person, second petitioner.
Yes. Good day, my fellow South Africans. Yes, I will, if I have to, I will, but for now, I will express myself in English. Good day, my fellow South Africans. I'm very happy to be given this opportunity. I'm a teacher by profession, and like my previous speaker has just said, how humiliating it is. You can imagine as a teacher in the street being evicted from the house. Northwest Housing Corp, Mr. Sello Mohodiri. Mr. Sello Mohodiri, I really was, I wish I could have looked you in the eye lying. You never gave us any money. I don't have any money that I got from you. The same letter that was read by Mr. Ernest Stefa is the same that I received. And I didn't want even to look into that money, myself and my husband, because the money we spend to go to lawyers up and down, trying to get our money, our houses back, because that's the first reaction that you do when you are pushed out of the house, like I was. And so we rushed immediately with the little sense that we had to go to lawyers, and we paid a lot of money. Now, to be given after so many years, 10,000, I really didn't understand. And like they said, they gave us an opportunity to communicate back with them to say whether we are happy or not. And I wasn't, but since then, nothing has ever happened. You know, to relate my story just a little, take you back of what happened to me as a teacher of a high school in the area. When I get back home, there is a guy in the house. You ask, the guy is in your house, has taken all your furniture into one room, and he's even using my fridge, drinking, you know. And there was a fight. I think that fight could have resulted in someone dying, because I had to go around and get people to push this man down, especially he was from Tembisa, and for that matter, was working for the Department of Defense Force. But the Ga-Rankuwa residents, they helped me to push out that guy, to throw his furniture out again in the streets. You know, a fight that is caused by people who govern you. How can you make residents fight to an extent of even killing each other? Because I don't understand why a cop didn't come out of that fight. And you know, what happened was, at school, one of the ladies, they bought my house from the Northwest Housing Corp for 50,000 rands. Realizing that it's my house that he bought, this lady, we are working in the same school, told one other lady, and I got a tip off. We went to Mafikeng immediately to try to find out what the problem is. And when I got to Mafikeng, my file, there's this guy, Bushi, that guy, is a pity, I don't remember his name. Was, you know, he could even give me a chance. He was even rude until I say I'm going to, you know, see to this matter until I try see where it finishes off. And the house was not in my name. When they checked the files, I remember the minister, the MEC for Housing Corp of North, or the MEC for Northwest, when challenged by public protector, said that house is not mine because my name doesn't appear. Because my house was sold to Sanyani. In my file, it's Sanyani who bought the house for 50,000. But Sanyani, realizing that he knows me and I'm in the same school with the wife, he demanded his money back. But unfortunately, they didn't take my name back. Then the next thing, the house was sold to Mr. and Mrs. Puruswani. And the four of us, we have realized that is the same agent who is used, is the same bank, Standard Bank, that is used to provide the monies, and the guy's name is Swabi. And then the agent is the same, it's the same modus operandi. So for this little time that you've given me, I don't want to go through this, because the other time I was presenting, I was crying. It seems to me the Department of Northwest Housing Corp, we talked with Tebe. The other guy was Tebe. It's just that I'm forgetful now because they've drained me to an extent that I'm so forgetful. I think that the Northwest Housing Corp, City of Tshwane, they are playing delay tactics. This hide and seek scenario that are displaying even now, it looks like they enjoy seeing us crying, because the other time it was bad. I was crying because I couldn't look at my ill husband, who has now passed on. May his soul rest in peace, fighting to get a dwelling. So with this, I don't want to go deeper into this, because it looks like they enjoy seeing us cry. I cannot cry beyond what I'm crying now, as I no longer have a second feet that supports me. I'm all by myself. Now, what I see here is they will enjoy seeing me die. The next thing they say, we are all dead, we can't get our properties back. I want to humbly say, I don't want to be called to a meeting like this again. I think that I've gone the last mile. This is the parliament now. It's my last mile. I don't want to see Ms. Petrel again, because City of Tshwane is not interested at all for taking this matter again to courts for review. I don't understand, because they're staying in their beautiful houses. I know they're comfortably placed. They sleep well. That's why they will delay this, because they don't have a problem. But I myself, who's suffering, who can't forget really how South Africa treats its own people. I want to say to the parliament now, I can't go beyond this, because you will be killing me now. This would be the end part of it. The recommendations of the public protector, that they listened to us. They went through all the, they checked everything that we were providing. We gave everything, the lawyers' documents, the monies that we paid, and really reconsider the 10,000 that you are trying to pay us, Northwest. This is not a child's play. Please, because if you were in my boots, you'll really understand that house, this 10,000 that you didn't even sell my house for 10,000. You sold it for 50,000. The way you don't care for us, for South African people. So I am pleading. I can't go beyond this. This is the final step that I'm taking. And I think now South Africa needs to know where I am. I just want my property back, so my husband can sleep in peace. Thank you.
Third petitioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. Lebitso ke nna Mary Dungwane, ke eme mo go wena ba motswadi wa ka. Nna re le so ilo bona o luza ntlo o ilusa motswadi. Gore ke you see the motswadi because of ntlo ya la tiri one. Ka tsena go strate. Re nna kwa buta road. Ke kholiselo. Re patetse ntlo, re go bofelo ga re ke di tsang. Go tla motho from the way to ba re kuku ya sa.
Intervene. Department, these people, they are in your offices. Please give them water and
water.
Assist. Okay.
Her name is Mary Dingwan. On behalf of her parent who has passed on. So presently they are homeless, so they want to be assisted.
Okay. Thank you very much for translation. Acting DG, these people, I'm told they are in your office. Do you have what do you call them, the EAP person to go there and assist this woman?
Let me find out, Chairperson, which office they are in. I will work on that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. Sisi, are you able to proceed?
Yeah, that's on the bill.
Yeah, Bulela Sisi. To tell it.
Kore the way go lenga teng re phile mbuima re sokose ke batho ba tlo re tsela dintlo re travotse sebaka le bon date khaswe ra bo mafikeng ro claima gore dintlo re tsalwa dintlo mara go bofelong housing corporation re lebo ga di 10,000 and then go bofelong go beileng 10,000 e o irileng ga ra ikere rena ba bang re tsamaile leto le letelle thata mo e leng gore ba bang ba rena ba ne re tsamaya bona ga ba sa le teng ke leboga modimo gore ke tlo mo ka tsene gore ke tlo ntsha sello sa ka go le tlo elitse mathata a Mabopane gore re phela boima bjang ka gore dintlo tse ga se tsa rena di na le banga ba tsona so go bofelong ga ke itse gore rona tshwanetse re ye kae ke nna mo number 309 mo di-X gone benong ke nna la butaka e le he ke tlhaga ke kry ba kukile motsadi wa ka ba mmeile ko ntle go strateng ke tlhaga shopong ba loka ntlo ba ntshitse phatlo mme o la kana ke motho a shepileng ke stroke a bofelo mafeko a mme o la a bolela re ngwana ka ntlo e tlo mpolaya ene e mmolaile ka nnete 309 e boleile mmaka re tsamaile sebaka mama re tsamaile sebaka everything entate khaso a e boletseng ke dio tseng gore di happenegile mo bathong ba borona ba re ba tlogetse ba ile gore re ba lositse ba bang gore a re se fo fela ne re le batho re se tshaba ga se sa le teng gore ha ke na mafoko kutlwa botlhoko ke ka le ke kotsi ke go bona.
Yeah, what she's saying is that they traveled a long way with the likes of Mr. Kaswe. They traveled to places like Mafikeng in pursuit of their property. As it is, some of people got the 10,000, but as for them, they didn't get anything. And it is so painful that her mother, who was suffering from stroke, was evicted from house 309X in Mabopane. They have suffered a lot. Some of the people whom they were traveling with this road, some of them have passed on, including her mom. So she would humbly request the committee to assist them because the suffering that people of Mabopane are going through is just hell. Please, committee, can you assist the petitioners? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we still have another petitioner? There were 3. Koliswa?
And the last one, my name is Michael Mary. I hope I'll be able to talk. I'll try not to be emotional. I'm from Ga-Rankuwa, Zone 2. And I'm the only one, I think, who was not removed from the property because the property that I bought, it's a business property. The property is about, I bought it from the housing corporation. It is, the property has about 15 buildings on it. When I bought it, I wanted to do student accommodation at the time because the university at the time in 2009, they approached me for accommodation purposes. And they gave me a letter of intent. And with that letter, I took it and I went to the bank, and the bank said, no, look, there's no way that we can help you with money. You need a title deed. I'm just going to try and cut the story short because most of my colleagues here have spoken. Then I approached. No, I mean, I went to the bank. The bank said, no, you need a title deed. I appointed an attorney. Attorney wrote to the Housing Corporation. Housing Corporation wrote to the Northwest. I mean, to the city of Tshwane, all in vain. It's more than 15 years. Now my buildings are dilapidated. I can't do proper business. You know, last time, we had a meeting with the city of Tshwane and the public protector. The only thing I asked them, I said, look, please, I just need a title deed for me to do proper business. That's it. Now today, if you go to Ga-Rankuwa, you look at those 15 buildings that are dilapidated, and you must know that I'm talking about a place that is next to the university. That is DUT. That's why the university approached me for accommodation. So I want to say this, Chairperson, to the city of Tshwane and to Housing Corporation, that you have wronged my business and my life. Both of these people have destroyed my business. 15 buildings. I'm not talking about shacks. Buildings, approved buildings. Then I approached the public protector. He released a report. Then all of a sudden I heard that no, the matter is been taken for review. And I heard it from Mr. Kaswe, because I was never even served. They served me at the wrong address. So what I'm asking is the city of Tshwane and Housing Corporation, please, please. I was still young when I bought the property. I could have done so much. I've got a letter of intent from the university at the time in 2009. This is a letter of intent signed by the Deputy Vice Chancellor to accommodate 300 to 250 students. I've lost so much. At the time, the money was around 67 million. And look, I'm just next to the university. I could have provided with accommodation. But today, the same university, they're using buses to take students to town while I'm there. Because of Northwest Housing Corporation and the city of Tshwane. Mr. Bushielo and Tebe and the city of Tshwane and the lawyers of the city of Tshwane. You say you want to take this matter for review. I think, thank you. Hoping that this is the last meeting, hoping that we will be helped. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, petitioners. You know, the matter is so serious that it's even evoking emotions of the people. Can I then get honorable members to speak on the matters before we get the city of Tshwane? How are they going to handle the matter? Honorable Mokhoto, followed by Honorable Tseki.
Thank you, Chairperson. As I was listening to the response of Mr. Sello Mokhodiri, CEO of the Northwest Housing Corporation, he mentioned that the houses that were bought from the Bob government houses or from the housing corporation, or the people that bought houses from the Northwest Housing Corporation, they only bought houses, they did not buy the land. But what I want to indicate is that when Bophuthatswana government started building these houses, they built these houses not on air, they built the houses on the land that then belonged to the government of Bophuthatswana. And then they assigned the housing corp on its behalf as their entity to manage, you know, the hiring or the business side of these houses that they have built on their behalf. So after 1994, what happened is because there was no more Bob government anymore, obviously, it cannot be that only houses were transferred to the housing corporation. The land that belonged to the then Bob government, including the houses, were transferred to Northwest Human Settlements or to Northwest Housing Corporation. So in short, all I want to say is because at that time in 1994, when all the houses that were rented, houses that belonged to the government, be it in Bophuthatswana or be it in the South, I would call it former South Africa before 1994. All those houses after the new dispensation, the government issued out an instruction that all the people that were renting houses that belonged to either the former government or to the government should be given freely to the people. And what happened is, like I gave an example of Soweto, people rented houses and then some of them did not only rent, they bought under 99-year lease. And then in Bophuthatswana, then people rented and others, they were renting in order to purchase in future if they had money. And then some of these people eventually started the process of buying, or they started buying these houses from the housing corp. All I'm saying is it's unfair for the people of Tabanchu who were renting government houses from the former Bob houses, and people from Moses Kotane, for example, in Mkhwasi, you know, to be told that they must keep on paying the installment, and people are now staying under fear because some of them, like I've explained, are not working, and then some of the people that bought these houses died before completing the purchase of those houses. It's only children that are staying in those houses. They don't know what will happen tomorrow because they might be evicted in the name that, according to Sello Mokhodiri, like he has stated, that these people owned the houses, they did not own the land. the question is, who was the owner of the land? It was the government. And then who built these houses, which the people bought? It was the government, the then Bophuthatswana government. So when transfer is being made to the new dispensation, it's obvious, even the land should be transferred, and not only the houses. So each and everyone in South Africa should be treated the same. So it simply means that they must also be given those houses freely. The housing corp should stop renting or purchasing these houses that I'm talking about to the people of Northwest. And then as I was listening to the deliberations of the people that have written this petition, yeah, it's tough because it seems as if there are other people who are more privileged than the others in South Africa. And there are others who are above the law in South Africa, especially these human settlements officials or municipal officials who are mistreating our people, who are taking what belongs to our people and taking it for their own benefit. And this cannot happen under our watch, the portfolio of human settlement, because we must remember, we took an oath daylight in Parliament, and we said that we are going to serve our people. And these people have nowhere to go to. Like they have already explained to us, we are their last hope. It must end today. And it's a pity the minister is not here with us today, but I'm happy because the National Department of Human Settlements and even these officials that come from the Human Settlement Department from Tshwane, that is Gauteng province and Northwest, are here. I am going to request that these people be given, the petitioners, be given their own properties. It is not on. This cannot go on like this. Thank you, Chairperson. Besides that, Chairperson, Mr. Mokhodiri did not also respond to the question that I posed to him. I told him of a certain issue in Mokwasi, and I even gave him the house number. I said house number 1389, Unit 4 Mokwasi. That house has been bought from Housing Corporation and it has been paid up. There is proof. Proof has been given to the Human Settlement Department of Northwest Province, but yet they come and tell the owner that he is still owing something. What is it